For our first station today, you are going to learn elimination. We have been working on substitution. We have been working on graphing. The third way to solve a system of equations is by elimination. To do elimination, you need to have your x's lined up and your y's lined up, and then your equal sign with your constant numbers, just the way they are. Every single one today will be lined up perfectly for you. Then you're going to look for opposites. Do you have any variables that are either the same or exact opposites from one another? When I look at number 1, my 10x and my 1x, they are not the same. They are not opposites, so they are not what I'm looking for. When I look at my y's, I have a negative 10 and a positive 10. Those are opposites. Those are what I'm looking for. Because those are opposites, I'm going to add my equations together. So when I do so, I add straight down. So I take my 10 plus my 1x to get an 11x. My negative 10 plus my positive 10 gives me 0, and in math we do not write the 0, because if I give you 0 of anything, I haven't given you anything. So I get an equal sign, and then I have negative 10 minus 23. Well, negative 10 plus a negative 23, my signs are the same, so I add my numbers, so I get 33, and I take the sign. So now I have a one variable equation that I can solve rather quickly. Circle what I'm solving for, draw my line. How do I get rid of the 11? Divide by 11, and x is going to be negative 3. Well, now that I know x, because remember, we write our answer like this, so I have an x value and a y value. Now that I know x, I can plug it in either to my top equation or my bottom equation and find the y. It does not matter which equation you choose. I'm going to choose the bottom one though, or actually I'll use the top. So I have 10 times whatever x is minus 10y equals negative 10. So I take this equation in its entirety and put it right here, but instead of x, I used an open parenthesis so I can fill in a number. So now I'm going to fill in my negative 3. Once I do that, I just solve for y. Circle what I'm solving for, 10 times negative 3, negative 30 minus 10y equals negative 10. Circle again, how do I get rid of negative 30? I add 30 to both sides. So I have negative 10y equals 20. Divide it by negative 10, divide it by negative 10, and y equals negative 2. So my point is negative 3, negative 2 as my answer. So this is my answer. Not all this stuff. All this stuff around here is just the work. This is the answer. Let's try the next one real quick. So again, every single one on this page is actually going to be opposites. I set it up that way on purpose. So when I look, I know I'm going to draw my equal sign underneath here. I'm going to add, because positive 4 and negative 4 are opposites. So I know when I add a positive 4 minus 4, they go away. So 4 minus 4x is 0. 10 plus 5 is 15y. Negative 28 minus 28 is 0. The only number I can multiply y by to get 0, or multiply 15 by to get 0, is in fact 0. But you can go through the steps if you would like. Divide by 15, and y is 0. So on my answer, I go like that. So then I have to pick an equation. It doesn't matter which one. I'll use the top one again, just because it's easy. I use the entire equation the exact way that it is, except for instead of writing y, I put what y is, and y is 0. So that's why that gets a 0 there. So 10 times 0 is 0, and I end up with 4x equals 28. Divide by 4, and x is 7. And that one's done. Alright, so let's take a look at the next one. Step 1 says, I am looking for either opposites or the same number. So step 1 over here says, look for opposites or the same number. If it's the same number, subtract the equations. If they are opposites, add the equations. So I look back at my equation and I see that they are opposites. I have a positive 2 and a negative 2, which means I am going to add my equations. So 3 plus negative 1x, well, that's the same thing as saying 3 minus 1, so I have 2x's. 2 minus 2y, those equal 0. So I equal then negative 27 plus 13, which is a negative 14. Step number 2 says, solve what is remaining. Well, I have 2x equals negative 14 remaining. So I'm going to solve. To get rid of the 2, I divide by 2, and x is going to be negative 7. So the first half of my answer is negative 7. Now I need to go back in and I need to find what y is. So step number 3 says, plug in your answer to one of the original equations to find the other answer. Alright, so I'm going to take my negative 7 for x, and I'm going to pick either the top or the bottom equation. I'm going to actually pick the top one. So I have 3, and instead of x, I'm putting parentheses, plus 2y equals negative 27. So I plug in my negative 7, because we already found out that x was negative 7, and now I solve for y. I start with my parentheses. 3 times negative 7 is a negative 21, plus 2y equals negative 27. Circle what I'm solving for. Get rid of the 21 by adding 21. So I have 2y equals negative 6. Divide by my 2, divide by my 2, and y equals negative 3. So my point is negative 7, negative 3. That is my answer. Go ahead and hit pause so that you can make sure you get all these notes. And then I would like to see you try to work on a few more on your own.